An RV teardown checklist is not the same as a setup checklist in reverse order. In fact, there's a lot of things that you have to do when you tear down that you never do when you set up. So let's get into it. The first step actually happens the day before you tear down. Check the weather. If it's going to rain close to the time that you'll be tearing down, you can plan another time. Also, if it's going to rain prior to tearing down, you may want to consider packing things like ground mats, gravity chairs, or anything really that won't have time to dry off, especially if it's something you pack inside the RV. One thing you don't have to do is take notes, sit back, relax, enjoy the video. Once we get through the entire process, I'll show you where you can download this very checklist we're covering today. So moving to the day you'll be tearing everything down, the first step is actually an optional step. Myself included, many RVers choose to fill up at what may be a crowded gas station without the trailer connected. Filling up the fuel tank before you hook up also gives you more flexibility and more options if you have to stop to fill up later. So if there's a gas station near the campground, filling up first may be something to consider. This is also a good point in the process to check your tire pressures. This is as easy as firing up your TPMS if you have one. This is another convenience a TPMS system gives you. It's much quicker than manually checking each tire. And guys, don't skip this step. Remember, check your trailer tires and your truck tires. Tire pressure is one of the most important things to keep tabs on as an RVer. Next, you'll want to pack up all your personal or optional equipment. These are things like your ground mat, a grill, your table and chairs, all the fun miscellaneous things that are not really a function of the RV itself. The checklist I'm going to share with you later can be edited so you can add or remove things that apply or don't apply to you. Also, if you haul items in the truck bed like bikes or e-bikes, consider packing those things now because the access to the truck bed is much more limited after you connect the trailer. The outside things you don't want to pack up yet would be your water connections, sewer and electrical connections. We still need to use those and we'll cover those later. This next step you will complete if you're on a site with a sewer connection. If you don't have a sewer connection at your campsite, you'll need to dump your waste tanks later in the process at the shared dump station. Put on some rubber gloves and crack open one of your gray tanks first, just for a few seconds, just to make sure there are no leaks on any connections. If there are leaks, it's much better to find out with gray water than black water. Once you confirm there are no leaks, close your gray tank, open and completely dump your black tank. Once your black tank is empty, I would recommend rinsing your tanks. Now, this is an optional step, but I've shown in other videos that refilling and redumping a black tank a second time gets so much more out of the tank. I used the Camco Rhino Blaster Pro fitting to rinse the tank. The Flush King from Volterra is another rinser you can use. You can also add water to the black tank via a bucket, holding the flush pedal down, or even adding water through the black tank flush port. As always, I'll put links to all the products in this video down below. I'll also put links to videos on how to rinse if it's something you've never done. So whether you rinse or not, once your black tank is completely drained out, go ahead and close your black tank drain valve. Now, regardless if the next campground is 20 minutes away or you won't be using your RV for another 3 months, you want to put water and your preferred treatment back in the black tank immediately. Doing so keeps the tanks from drying out, plus it's one less step you have to do when you use the bathroom on the next trip or if you need to use the bathroom on the way home. My black tank is 40 gallons, 10% is a good benchmark, so I'm gonna add about 4 gallons of water plus my treatment back into my black tank. And this is another reason I like external rinsers. They allow you to backfill your tank right there when you're done rinsing. You can now dump your gray tanks, and because gray water is much cleaner than black water, it'll help to flush out your sewer hose, so you always want to dump your gray tanks last. And you can also use external rinsers to backfill and rinse your gray tanks. Gray tanks can get just as bad as black tanks. Once the gray tanks are empty, you can now close the gray tank drain valves. I would also recommend adding a little bit of water and a preferred treatment back into the gray tanks for the same reason we do in the black tanks. And again, if you don't have a sewer connection at your site, you'll need to dump later. But now we're at the point where everybody can disconnect their sewer hoses and accessories, and don't forget to put the cap back on your sewer pipe. I will toss the rubber gloves, wash my hands. We got one of the big ones out of the way. The waste tanks are done, and we can move to the next step. Now we can disconnect our fresh water hose, but before that happens, there is a decision you need to make. Some folks travel with their fresh water tank empty, and if that's you, you can now go ahead and open your fresh water tank drain and empty it out. Some leave a few gallons in the freshwater tank in case they want to stop, use the bathroom, or wash their hands. It's completely up to you what you want to do, but this is the point in the process to decide if you need to add water to the tank, leave what's in there, or empty it out. Once your freshwater tank level is where you want it, you can now disconnect your freshwater hose, any filters, your pressure regulator, and all the accessories on your freshwater connection. The next couple steps will be on the inside. Now everybody's RV is different, so this is a good spot to modify the checklist based on your RV and your lifestyle, but I'll go down my list so you have a good starting point. Close all the windows and shades, latch or secure all your interior doors. If you have a spring-loaded shower door, leave it open so that it's not under tension while driving. If your TVs are on swing arms, you'll want to collapse or lock them depending on what you have. I'll make sure all my ceiling vent fans are off and the vents are closed. Unless something is bolted down, I will clear all my countertops and collapse any countertop extensions at this time. Secure any freestanding furniture like kitchen chairs or bar stools. Make sure your oven and stovetop knobs are all turned off. Collapse or reposition any roof antennas you may have for travel. Close all cabinets and drawers. Remove toiletries in your shower caddy, and if your shower head will reach the floor, put it on the floor now so it doesn't fall out and break something while driving. With that done, now we can start powering everything off. This would include your thermostat, refrigerator, your radio and TV, the water pump and water heater, and any other electric or gas devices. Retract your awnings and finally turn off your lights. The only thing I'm not finishing up on the inside is closing my slides, and there's two reasons for this, which we'll talk about in a second. I'll head back outside real quick, turn off the propane tank service valves, close the hood vent above your stove if yours is manual, and this next step for me is optional for you. I'll just hop up on the roof with a broom and clear any branches, leaves, or debris on the top of my slide. Going up on the roof also gives me the opportunity to do a quick roof inspection to make sure nothing happened during the trip. The other reason I leave my slide for last is it gives me the chance to do one final walkthrough, make sure everything is powered down, closed up, and put away. At this time, I'm also going to grab all the important or valuable things that I would rather keep in the truck during the trip home. These are things like my wallet, my cell phone, all my camera equipment, and my laptop. Now we can close the slides, the inside is complete, and we can finish off by closing the entry steps and the door. Next, I'm raising my stabilizer jacks and removing my X-chocks. X-chocks should never be installed when you're raising or lowering the tongue jack. Axle manufacturers will tell you the same thing. I've spoken with Lippert about this. Doing so creates contrasting rotational forces that over time can increase wear on your axles. So you definitely want to remove X-chocks at this point if you use them, but don't remove your standard wheel chocks yet. We're at the point now where we can start connecting the truck. You'll want to raise your trailer tongue high enough to get the hitch under it, pull the truck back, and line up the hitch. Put your emergency brake on, and before doing anything else, connect your safety chains before dropping the trailer on the hitch. It's very unlikely because you're still chalked, but if for whatever reason the trailer starts to roll away from the truck while you're hitching up, your safety chains will save the day. Now you can lower the trailer onto the hitch. After you're connected, first, close and install the lock on the coupler. Install your sway bars and connect your emergency brake cable. The only thing we haven't done yet is connect the truck to trailer power cord. So there are situations where it's perfectly fine to connect your shore power and truck power, and there are situations where it's not good to have them connected at the same time. The answer depends on a few different things, and it gets complicated. It's not something we're gonna get into today, but for now, just to be safe, leave your truck power cord disconnected. Go ahead and raise the tongue off the ground or the blocks under your tongue if you use them, and put them away. All right, guys, we are in the home stretch. You can now disconnect and store away your shore power cord. Remember, turn the breaker off first, then disconnect your power cord and surge protector /EMS. You may also now remove any other connections you may have, like satellite or cable TV. Since we have disconnected shore power, you can now connect your truck power to your trailer. If you have ground contact steps, make sure they're not touching the ground. We've already covered this, but you may have come back inside for something. Make sure your steps are up. Close all of your doors. Now you can remove your wheel chocks and pull off your leveling blocks or ramps. And after your tires are back on the ground, store your leveling blocks or ramps now so you don't forget them later. Next, I will just walk around the RV, make sure everything is packed and stored away, check underneath the RV for any items you may have forgotten or any large rocks that may have gotten kicked under the RV during the camping trip. Once you know everything is packed up, you can go ahead now and lock all of your doors and close your grab handle. Congratulations, the trailer is pretty much done. The last few steps are completed in the truck. Check your brake controller for a good connection, engage your tow haul feature if you use it, and I always turn my lights on while I'm towing. Most trucks have automatic lights these days, so if you want your lights to be on while you're traveling in the day, you're gonna need to turn your lights to manual on. Additionally, with the lights on, turn on your hazard lights, and now you can go back and check your trailer brake and turn signal lights. Earlier, we talked about not having a sewer connection at your campsite, and if that's the case for you, you're gonna need to now head over to the dump station and dump your waste tanks. And something to consider, if there's a line of RVers waiting to dump behind you, rinsing your tanks is probably not something you wanna do right now. Just make sure you put everything away, relock your doors, and do one more walk around before heading out. The last step is to set your GPS and drive safely to your next destination. I'll put a link to this checklist down below in the video description and the first comment. It's completely free, but you have to download the checklist first. Once you download it, then you can edit it. If you want to support the work I do to help other RVers, please like, share, comment, and I hope you consider subscribing, and we'll see you guys soon. You can also pack up any other connections like Catalyte Sable TV. Let's try that again.